Hi, it's Brian O'Neill here, and I'm just giving some user interface and user experience design feedback to Joseph and Chris working on the decision support dashboard over at MITRE. So, few things here. So this is mostly going to be first impression kind of stuff. I haven't studied this in advance of this recording. First thing I noticed here was my understanding is that this is for, as it says, governors, mayors, business owners, communities, etc. You're landing me on a screen with national view. My short answer is I want to be prompted to get to my region as quickly as possible. I'm not sure, with the exception of the president, with for whom this is not designed, it seems the national view probably isn't super relevant to a local decision maker. I also found this experience weird. You know, for example, I typed in my zip code here and I get no results. So then I'm like, okay, maybe they don't have that granular data. So then I typed in the state name and I got a incorrect spelling of Massachusetts in here earlier. The first time I tried this, it was weird. But yeah, it was weird to me that there's a wrong spelling that came up in here. That's a minor bug. But when I went to Massachusetts here, I understand the map. This is probably a map control. However, my expectation here was that I'm going to come to like the Massachusetts screen and you're going to give me a great readout of decision support for Massachusetts. I don't feel like that's what I got here. I don't feel like I'm in anything really focused on just Massachusetts. I'm still seeing all the surrounding areas, etc. So I kind of feel like the context for this needs to be my area of control as a decision maker and not necessarily the geographic region. So whether you fade out some of this other area or something like that, I'm not even sure that this map needs to be so giant on the screen because it doesn't give me a lot of actionable information. It's just showing me where cases are hot. But it's like, what do I do about that information? And that doesn't help me make a decision. So probably can scale the map down in size. I think we need to think about what this means because I feel like search result, Massachusetts, well, yeah, but what? I haven't got any useful information yet. So this giant title here feels like it doesn't help me either. There's just a lot of screen, a lot of pixel real estate here has been dedicated to the stuff that doesn't really help me. So maybe we can get rid of all this stuff too and just focus on the state level information or whatever the next level of regional granularity you have. I think this is okay here. It probably doesn't need to be quite so present because again, what's missing here to me is what is there's so far I'm not presented with any types of decision information. There's no dynamic information here at all. There's a lot of categories and label stuff here. When I clicked into this first one here, I found it weird that this is so narrowly displayed here, but I'm kind of wondering like where is the information here about reproduction rate in my region of choice? I see a lot of explanations of terms, but I'm not seeing any type of actionable decision making information. If I have my governor of Massachusetts hat on right now, I'm still not seeing that after this much investment. And it says click on the map for more information, but I'm not sure like, okay, so this is weird because of the mouse interaction here. Okay, so now I'm getting some other stuff which seems to be county level. I'm not sure if you're the governor, how do I, do I click on the border? Like, how do I get to Massachusetts only if I'm a governor? I can see how if I'm perhaps a mayor or something like that. Okay, so you're giving me some case counts and death counts, etc. Again, historical facts. The question is what type of info. Okay, so I see now you're loading stuff down here. So are you doing comparisons then? Is that what this must be? What is the status of the outbreak? Okay, you're giving me the RT. Yeah, this, for what it's worth, like if someone had their monitor screen like this, say small, I probably would have missed all of this interaction going on down here because and again, now I'm back to the zooming issue with the map. my eye was focused on when I finally saw a click on the map, which feels like something's wrong if you have to tell me to do that. I feel like there should be an affordance on the map that's inviting that. Again, the whole map here, I'm not sure this needs to be so large because that's not where I think what I'm gonna end up finding out as I dig into this is the stuff down here is actually where the meat and potatoes of this dashboard. So it's weird to me though that this interaction stuff up here, there's stuff happening too far away. It's an interaction design problem where you're refreshing the screen contents kind of out of where I'm focused. And I could have easily missed that depending on the size of my browser window. I'm on a 38-inch monitor, but I can imagine someone being on a phone or a much smaller device looking at this. So, and yeah, I've got a magic mouse with the touch zoom, so I keep accidentally doing that. But that's another thing that's a little bit weird is that I'm constantly scanning this, zooming in and out of this thing, and I don't really want to be doing that. So you might consider disabling that control because again, if I have a regional focus, I don't need to constantly be changing the map scale. I'm making assumptions about use cases here, but I have a feeling our governor, like in Massachusetts here, is focused on his state and not necessarily what's happening everywhere else because he can't really control that. So I'm guessing this is trying to show the comparison of how bad the reproduction rate is between the two. I'm curious what they're supposed to do with this information. If I was a governor, it's like, okay, we're trending a little worse or a little better than our neighbor. That's, again, not quite sure what they're supposed to do with this information. I will tell you this empty, what we call an empty state, which I think I can get back to like this. It was not clear to me that this was a dynamic area, so I think you may consider putting in some like gray, like empty boxes here or something, or potentially, something that just says like, enter a region to show information or whatever. You could prompt, instead of using null, like just blank white here, you can provide an affordance here that suggests this area is dynamic. And again, you can see how the map doesn't necessarily help you do that. If I'm really trying to compare two regions, it may be just as easy to type them in here if that's really what I'm coming here to do. I'm not sure if that's actually the use case or not. Case growth, reproduction rate. So yeah, this scrolling thing is really starting to bother me from if I'm on a desktop computer, this is, at least with the kind of mouse I have, this constant jerking around. I feel like you probably just want to disable that zoom control. Yeah, that's the short answer without knowing all the other use cases. I would get rid of that. This feels weird to me. When I see like click on the map, when it's telling me what to do, generally this means that there's something that's not intuitive about the design. If you're putting instruction text directly into the GUI here, it kind of feels like a band-aid for a design problem. So case growth. So, all right, so let me go back to my context, which again is Massachusetts. Okay, so I'm in Massachusetts, which again feels weird. Now that I understand this is supposed to update, it feels weird to me that you're not giving me state level information here, especially if this is for governors. It feels weird to me that you're not loading the rest of the GUI here with that information. So I'm going to hit zoom to Massachusetts and I still don't get that stuff. So I guess you only have county level information. Is that right? So I guess I can compare Essex with Middlesex. So here I get some more visualization information. Case growth. You might consider letting this text run horizontally across this explanation text or just put it in a tooltip. I'm not sure it needs to take that much real estate all the time. Because once you've understood what it is, it's occupying a fair amount of real estate within the small GUI here. I'm guessing maybe if I close this, you're going to occupy the screen real estate. Yeah, I still think you can probably run that differently. I also would probably suggest you just expand these categories here and not require me to open them up. There's really no reason not to do that. I don't think the fact that there's 10 items, you talked about getting to 10 questions here. I don't think that's necessarily overload. I think if you are providing useful information, um, that could be that could be good. What is useful? It depends on how it's presented and what the tasks and questions are. So let's see. So jumping into this again. So you're kind of treating this as like details versus like overview. Okay. This 0 days sustained decline feels a little bit, doesn't feel like super clear language. I kind of feel like it could just say not case growth, not declining, you know, something, just make a bigger statement about it. I also feel like maybe the iconography, I feel like it could be a little bit louder. If the story here is that things are really not going well, if that's a really bad indication, I feel like it could be a little bit more negative in the way it presents the information. It's taking a very neutral kind of position with the black Roman text and this little red icon, but I kind of feel like from a scorecard perspective, if that's effectively what this is, we could be more, you could put a stake in the ground a little bit more loudly about whether or not things are trending positive or things are trending negative. So yeah, that's a thought on that. So these are daily trends. Okay, yeah, so these are, got it. Okay, just kind of taking this in, and mortality trends. I generally get the feeling like these charts possibly don't need to be quite as tall as they are. I feel like you could probably reduce the height a little bit on them. I also kind of feel like the y-axis legends here. You probably could just use straight numbers here, like use zero round numbers rounded to zero in the axes here. It feels, I understand this is an exact count of the matches, but just like top axis here could be 400 and just use a different, you know, divisions of 50, divisions of 25, something like that. It's a little bit, it definitely makes me spend more time processing the chart a little bit, and it's, whether it's 312 or 325, that's still a problem. Like it's not making a significant difference having it being so precise that way, but it does require me to think about it a lot more. I think I get these indications that you've put a qualitative stamp on top of these things. I feel like if you can get one word descriptions to go with these, that might help a little bit, because it's not clear whether or not, for example, this eye icon here, this bang exclamation point, means there's, like, for example, something wrong with the data, or whether or not it's making a judgment about the value of 0.8664. So I feel like, you know, if it's like poor, satisfactory, and, you know, good or whatever, and obviously, you know, reproduction, we won't want it good, but the point here is there may be some English labels. Like if you think about, if you had to explain to me like, oh, why is this one red, you know, if the governor is asking you like, what does it mean greater than 1.1 is red, what does that mean, then someone would probably tell him in words exactly what that means, and kind of say, well, basically it means, you know, X, whatever, it means bad, right? So come up with those labels and print that information here. And again, I want the design to take a stand on what the data is, and not be so neutral in its presentation. That's another just comment on that. Yeah, I still, I don't know if the, you know, overall this design, it says decision support dashboard. This feels a lot more about compare a county comparison dashboard. Like the whole design seems to be based on comparing stuff. And my feeling is that while I like comparison, I'm wondering if we really need to be comparing region to region or comparing my area of governance, the area that I have control over, with some absolute value of what health experts say is acceptable or not. So, for example, RT rate. You've taken a stand that greater than 1.1 is meaningful. So does it matter what the neighboring areas are? I could understand like the disease doesn't respect our government boundaries and where the county lines are drawn, but because of the fact that you're able to put some absolute qualitative labels on some of these numbers, I'm not sure this should be set up entirely around region to region comparison. Again, I don't know because I don't know. I'm just making assumptions here about what policymakers are. But my assumption is they care mostly about their area of governance because that's what they can control. And while they may be curious how everybody else is doing, if the science says that there's a specific number, like you guys have talked about 3-day average and less than 7 days is medically meaningful, then track me against how well I'm doing against the medical information and not necessarily about how everyone else is doing, because I might be number one in the country for recovery rate, but we're all sucking. So if we all suck at it, does it really matter that I'm quote better or worse than my neighbor? No, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, this whole like comparison thing, I don't know. That's just feels a little bit odd initially. So I think that's my main feedback for now on this. I'd have to spend some more time with it and understand more of the use cases here. Yeah, so I'll look forward to the phone call and we'll take it from there. Okay, bye.